Yo everyone, it's Meng. This time the video will be a bit different because we are going to dive into the lore of Reverse 1999. I haven't really seen other content creators talk about this side of the game yet, and since we are officially past the 3rd anniversary, it feels like the perfect time to get into it, because Vertin's role is starting to change from a passive observer to finally taking action. If you're a beginner or a returning player, I know it can feel incredibly overwhelming to catch up to 3 whole years of story and lore. So in this video I will try to focus only on the core lore that you need to understand the main plot. And to be clear, this will not be a summary of the story. I think you can find that pretty easily online. Instead, we are going to explore the hidden lore, what Bluepock is trying to tell us between the lines, and what we can expect from future patches. Also, there will be major spoilers for the new story up to the new patch 3.7. If you haven't caught up yet, I highly recommend that you clear the story first and come back to this video later. Then let's get right into it, starting with the first topic, the true nature of Vertin, the Norns. During the Chinese beta test more than 3 years ago, an ARG, which means alternate reality game, was hidden inside a merchandise barcode and revealed a message mentioning Skuld. We later then discover in the story that one of Vertin's mother's nicknames is Urd. Those two names, Skuld and Urd, highly hint that Bluepock is using the Norns from the Norse mythology as a reference. Urd represents the past, Verdandi, which is very likely to be Vertin's true name, represents the present, and Skuld represents the future. The Norse mythology has inspired countless works. I myself first learned about the Norns through the Ah My Goddess OVA back in 1994, more than 30 years ago, and at that time I had a huge crush on Verdandi, and Verdandi was spelled B-E-L-L-D-A-N-D-Y instead of V and R, because the V, B are pronounced the same in Japanese, and same for the R and the L. And for those of you around my age, you probably also spent tons of hours playing the MMORPG Ragnarok Online, which is also a direct reference to the Norse mythology. And of course, everyone knows that Thor and Loki joined the Marvel universe. So Skuld is mentioned in the RRG in the Chinese beta, and Urd is directly in the game. But there's no mention of Verdandi, right? Since Urd is Vertin's mother, it makes sense to think that she will be Verdandi. And there's 2 hints which point in that direction. The first one is when you use the spinning wheel for the first time in a tutorial to summon for the gacha. There is this line written in the game, spin it as you have done so many times. But who does the you refer to? Is it me, the player? Is the game breaking the 4th wall and is exposing my addiction to gacha games? Or is it Vertin? No, she just discovered this place. It's her first time here. The game mentions specifically that Vertin has never been here before. And she does seem to remember something, but she's not quite there.
Time. I seem to have seen this.
But what if we think of Vertin as Verdandi, like we discussed before? Then this line will make perfect sense, right? As a Norn, her duty would be to use the Wheel of Fate. The second hint is hidden during the tutorial when you are asked to enter your player name, and the game will give you this answer. Yes, that's right, I've seen you before. This name is permitted. Wait, something is different. Your name is Vertin? Or ... But if you enter Vertin as your name, the answer is different. Yes, that's right. Everyone is waiting to serve you. Miss Vertin. ... You are just like her, the child whose real name is hidden. You are just like her. This means that there is another person who is also hiding their true name. And the child whose real name is hidden means that she is also a child, or he is a child. And since Urd is Vertin's mother, if we follow the same pattern with Skuld, it could mean that Skuld is Vertin's daughter and that she is also hiding her real name. It might sound weird like this, but this is a game about time travel, so anything is possible. But this implies that Vertin is not using her true name, she is very likely to be Verdandi using a fake name, and the existence of Skuld could be the key for Vertin to go beyond the storm and maybe reach a timeline beyond year 2K. And one important thing to note is that the Blue Puck does not copy the mythology one for one. In the original myths, the Norns were sisters, but in Reverse 1999, Urd and Vertin are mother and daughter. So the relationship is different in Reverse 1999, so it means we can't trust Blue Puck to follow the full narrative from the mythology, but it's a good reference point if we want to understand their world building. So we've established that Blue Puck is taking inspiration from the Norns, but who are the Norns and what was their role in the Norse mythology? They were withers of the threads of fate. This is reference in-game by the spinning wheel and the golden threads feature on the summoning screen, the one we all use for the gacha. The threads represent the fate and the life of a living being. If you pay attention to the Unilong icon, you can notice that the interior of the bunny contains a golden thread. The description also hints that this thread and the time it represents was stolen by a bunny, which is a creature known in a lot of lore to be a symbol of chaos related to time, much like the White Rabbit and his giant pocket watch in Alice in Wonderland, who is always feeling like he is late. Even the term Unilog, the name of the item that we all use to pull on the gacha, is a hint. Uni stands for single, since it's a single pull, while log represents a record or a logbook. So a unilog is literally a unique record of a life. When Vertin uses it on the spinning wheel, she literally weaves the thread, she opens the record to manifest the person tied to it back into existence and in our current timeline. And by doing so, she fulfills her role as Verdandi, the Norn who has dominion over the prison, and a wither of the threads of fate. This concept of thread being the recorded lifetime of a person also explains why, if someone is reversed, they don't just disappear physically, their own time is rewind. The storm will unweave their thread and erase their recorded life log. But if that thread still exists somewhere, it should be possible for the Norns to weave it again and make them appear in a different timeline, but as a new existence without the memories of their life before the storm, just like what happened to Mr. Carson and Duncan, or Merel and Rhiannon. The formula used to resist the storm, if you remember the Hoffman knot, which was discovered by 37 and tested by Lucy, also makes perfect sense here if we combine it with this concept of thread. So the storm reverses a person by unweaving their thread, and making a knot on your thread is very simple and a mechanical way to anchor it to the current timeline and prevent the storm from affecting it. So this formula to resist the storm, being a knot, is not by chance. It was planned by Blue Puck to fit the lore of the Norns. And yeah, makes sense that a circle doesn't work, right? Thanks, Arcana. During the Antarctica arc, we learned that the storm is merely a side effect of an even worse phenomenon, a massive flood. This is the flood Manus Vindictae is trying to exploit to erase humanity and reset the world into a blank era, a state way back in time where humans will lose all their technology and the world will then be completely dominated by arcanists and their powers. So this is a massive parallel with Noah's Ark and the Genesis flood. Vertin's suitcase is very similar to a modern Ark, allowing her to save arcanists from the flood. Inside the suitcase, arcanists turn into animal spirits or Eudimos, and mirrors how Noah's Ark was meant to preserve the life of innocent animals. And this is also shown directly in the gameplay. If you lose a team member in battle and you have a fourth member waiting in the suitcase, when they join the battlefield, they will turn again into their human form. But there is an interesting catch about the suitcase. Humans are not immune to the storm inside it, and if you've noticed, they don't even have a spirit animal as their Udimo. It's only a chibi version of their human form. And in the Genesis story, God triggered the flood to purge human corruption from the earth while saving the animals. So if we apply the same reasoning here, the suitcase fundamentally identifies humans as sins that must not be saved but purged. It's ironic, but the core function of the suitcase aligns perfectly with Manus Vindictae and Arcana's doctrine of Arcanist supremacy by wiping the humans. Arcana sees humans as impure because they are not connected to the Numa and they are unable to use Arcanum. This difference is also shown in game, with Arcanists having a resonance pattern while humans have a reasoning one. This obvious contradiction between the suitcase functions and Vertin's goal, which is to help both Arcanists and humans, can only lead to one possible question: if the function of the suitcase is to protect only Arcanists from the storm and not the humans, was the suitcase originally a Manus Vindictae artifact? And if so, why is the spinning wheel inside? Does it mean that Vertin, as Verdandi, was part of Manus Vindictae before? So, we've seen that Vertin is based on Verdandi from the Norse mythology, but our Vertin from Reverse 1999 is different from the Norns. She is not a deity, she is not immortal, she is a mortal arcanist. And in most mythologies and lore, there is an unwritten rule that divine beings must not interfere with the mortal world. The Norns have even stricter restrictions. They cannot share their vision of fate, not even with other gods. Odin himself, the leader of the gods of Asgard, had to pay the price of one eye just to get a glimpse of the future. We saw this exact policy of inaction with Aperon. Aside from giving out a formula that almost killed my poor 37 as a side effect, they completely refused to intervene to save their own island from destruction. Since Bluepock presents Vertin as a mortal, this allows her to not be bound by the same divine restrictions as Aperon, which is exactly why she was able to step in and change Mirel's fate in the recent chapter. This is a turning point for her, I think. Vertin is not just an observer anymore, she is now taking action. This talk about divine laws reminds me of one of my favorite cinematic scenes of all time. It's from Diablo 3, where Tyrael, the Archangel of Justice, makes a very drastic decision just to be able to take action in the mortal world. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend you do it because I think it's one of the most epic cinematic scenes in the entire gaming industry. It's called Tyrael's Sacrifice. The two important lines for my comparison are first from Imperius, where he says, Tyrael, the ancient law of the high heavens, strictly forbids us from interfering with the mortal world. And then the second one is from Tyrell after the battle. But if our precious laws ban you all to inaction, then I will no longer stand as your brother. This is such a powerful line, and you can feel his conviction and determination. And then he removes his wings, he gives up his archangel status and his immortality just so he can avoid those divine laws and take action in the mortal world. Since Bluepock is presenting us, Vertin and Urd as mortals, it is possible that Urd, Vertin, and even perhaps Skuld made the same sacrifice as Tyrell, choosing mortality and losing their divine status just to be able to intervene in the mortal world. Urd is even known to have stopped the flood in 1999, which could have been the exact moment they made that sacrifice. And now the story is showing us Vertin's journey and how she is slowly recovering Verdandi's powers. If Urd sacrificed her power in 1999 to stop the flood, it could explain why she is affected by the storm while Vertin is not. Vertin could also resist the storm, maybe because she represents the Norn of the present and she has a better anchor to the current timeline compared to Urd. Or maybe it's because of all the experiments she had to go through into the foundation, or it can even be a combination of both. But the fact is, there is a difference between Urd, who is affected by the storm, and Vertin, who is not. The last chapters from the main story gave us rules Vertin has to follow and a glimpse of what she can actually do. She can hear the voices of her and Soneto's past and future selves, both inside and outside the boon. She can also enter the boon, but under strict conditions. She has to avoid creating a time paradox by synchronizing with her future self when entering the boon, and with her past self when exiting the boon. She also loses her mortal eyesight to activate her loom, her divine sight. This is a trait she shares with Urd, her mother, who is blind. She needs an ordinary person, Soneto, to serve as her anchor in the real world and guide her through the boon, which mirrors the restrictions forced on divine beings. She has reality-binding powers, shown by how she was able to untangle Merel's thread, resulting into unlocking doors in the real world for her, and even stripping away Arcana Summon immortality by removing the knots on its HP bar. And she allowed Merel to be reversed into Rhiannon by removing the knots on her thread, who otherwise would have probably completely vanished after the storm. Her powers are also shown in the recent video on the YouTube official channel, the anniversary memorial animation video, I noted at 1 minute 33 seconds. So I especially like this scene. It's showing Rhiannon upside down, which symbolizes her in a reversed state. She was also turned into stone, showing that her existence was frozen, her time and fate were trapped. And finally we see a black veil which is hiding her from Vertin's view, mirroring the restrictions and the boundaries of the boon. It's also hinted in the title, Glimpses Through the Thread. And when Vertin reaches her, the golden thread is not just a simple line, it's a knot that Vertin immediately untangles, which frees Rhiannon. So this perfectly recreates what happened inside the boon in the main story of the game. And those rules and restrictions shown in the game and the video are similar to a tutorial for Vertin, showing her, and also us as players, what she can do and how to do it. And this is to prepare us for later, while Bluepock is, for sure, cooking a very crazy time loop shenanigan story. So, predictions. We already have a question and answer on the Chinese side for patch 4.0. It was on Mary's X post. I will put the link. And we have confirmation about the new SP characters, that we already have a silver wing eagle. So this is not new, but with Vertin's new power it probably will be possible to get a reversed character, just like Rhiannon is a Merel reverse version. So people with the reversed Schneider agenda is still alive. This agenda is still alive. We also have confirmation that the patches 4.x will explore Manus Vindicte's past. And this is interesting for me because remember my theory about the sweet case being a Manus Vindicte artifact because it only protects arcanists and not humans. So maybe the future patches will talk about this topic. I think the sweet case was originally heard and then Madame Z got it and then gave it to Vertin. But it doesn't change the function of the sweet case which only protects Arcanis, so even if it was not Manus Vindicte on side first, yeah, I wonder why the suitcase works like that. And for NPCs becoming playable, here are my expectations. So my top choice would be Bittersweet. She helps Coppelia in the Syndrome of Silence in endings 2 and 4, and she's mourning her in ending 3. She also leaves a note for Prima where she says that she is refusing to attack the SPDM and fellow Arcanists, before stating that she will be gone soon. And because we have Coppelia playable, it's highly likely that Bittersweet succeed in the ending 4 to move Coppelia in a safe place. And also, her design is not Manus Vindicte coded, not dark and blue and gold. I think she also doesn't need a lot of development, character development, unlike Sophia, for example. Sophia also a candidate, but she will need a redemption arc. And I also thought about Urstrina, but yeah, she also need, I think, a bit of character development first. So Bittersweet definitely my top choice for NPCs on the Manus Vindicte side to join Vertin's sweet case later. And on patch 3.9 on the Chinese version, they got an update for Series of Dust game mode, the roguelike, which is one of my favorite game mode. And because it was not updated for a long time, it could be a hint that characters from this side of the story will be playable. I can think of two of them. Valentina, she only joined Manus Vindicte to survive the storm, and she refused to join the Foundation. So she's in a similar situation to Miss Stranger, I think. Miss Stranger doesn't want orders from the Foundation anymore, and she doesn't want anything to do with Manus Vindicte either. Valentina could fit here, I think, just like Miss Stranger, and probably she would want to meet Semmelweis again, and also Lorelei. But it's been so long since her reveal, and yeah, nothing yet, so yeah, I will not bet on Valentina playable. And the other character from Series of Dust who could join Vertin's sweet case, or join again because this is a SP character, is Lorelei, which I called SP Unveil Lorelei. She's already playable as a 5-star, but she wears a veil to suppress her power. So while she seems a bit crazy at first, after the events of patch 3.7, her lines start to make more sense, and there are huge hints that she's actually connected to other timelines through her little conch shell. So just like Vertin is with the boon. When she first met Vertin, she said that she heard her voice a long time ago, so she can hear voices from the future. She can also hear her deceased parents, so probably from other timelines. And she also knew about the flood during the Vienna arc, so long before Vertin found out during the Antarctica arc. It should not be possible for her, she did not get storm, she didn't time travel. All this only makes sense if she can hear voices from other timelines, and we'll see especially from the future. She is also able to suppress the storm syndrome through her song, and she helped Semmelweis' transformation into a vampire. So she has crazy arcane power. And with the reveal of SP characters, now it's possible that she will join Vertin in a SP form, but only after being cured by the Foundation, maybe through pneuma analysis, artificial somnambulism, this good old jazz, and after she takes control of her own power. And what's more, we know that through Silver Eagle, SP characters keep their afflatus and damage type, and Lorelei has the same afflatus and damage type as 37, who will get a Euphoria in 4.0, so she is definitely a possible teammate for 37. She doesn't have Eureka, but yeah, we've seen characters without Eureka before getting Eureka with the Euphoria, so it should be possible with a new SP variant. Did you listen to the new song released recently by Bluepock on their YouTube official channel Golden Thread? Besides it being a beautiful song and it's not part of my playlist, I have a lot of questions about this video. At around the 3 minutes mark, we can see Vertin's vision and the golden threads. We can clearly see that Soneto and Miss Stranger only have one single thread attached to them, while Vertin instead is completely in a web of countless threads, meaning that she is tied to the fate of many people, not just as the timekeeper, but probably also as her hidden role, the Norn Verdandi. But the most surprising is that girl made of golden threads. She's first hiding behind Soneto and then she takes a peek at Vertin from behind. She doesn't look like any character we already know. Her hat is similar to Vertin's one, just a bit smaller. And her necktie is also very similar. And knowing Bluepock, this cannot be by chance. So I have a wild guess, and my guess would be that she is Skuld. And why is she hiding behind Soneto to begin with? Is she related to Soneto? Or could Soneto be someone sent by her to guide Vertin, just like she did inside the Boon? And is this why Soneto is always the first character you summon as Vertin at the start of the game? And her name does mean something similar to the sound, an echo, or a song. So could the fact that Soneto is the one on the icon of the game instead of Vertin, it's because her role is maybe more important than the timekeeper in the story? And if so, maybe Bluepock announced new SP characters just to release a 6-star XP Soneto in the future because she's related to Skuld, or maybe she could even be Skuld herself. And what about Vertin? Will we eventually get an SP Vertin, a 6-star Verdandi form, once she fully regains her powers? If so, will we finally be able to upgrade our profile screen, which has been stuck for 3 years now with Vertin sleeping in PTSD? Will the ultimate ending of this game be Ragnarok, just like in the Norse mythology? Or maybe could it be that Ragnarok already happened in Reverse 1999, and this is the reason why Vertin lost her powers? If this turns true, this will be a huge leap in the entire story of Reverse 1999. So what do you think? Am I going crazy, or does all this make sense to you? Do you think the Sweet Case is a Manus Vindictae artifact? Who do you think is the girl made of golden threads at the end of the song? And is she Skuld? And who are you expecting next as playable characters in the future patches? So many questions. Share with me all your wild theories and insights in the comments below. Also, I probably made mistakes here and there, so I apologize for that in advance. Don't hesitate to correct me. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you next time, probably very soon, because there is 99.99% chance that I will summon for Miss Stranger. Ciao, ciao.